Well, joining me today is Brian Geislinger, the Vice President of Corporate Relations with Alberta Blue Cross, and Emma Ricard, the Regional Director for Homeward Health. Now, we're talking about mental health tips and getting your child ready to go back to school. Emma, I'll start with you. How important is it to have those conversations, and what's the best way for parents to start them?
I think it's really important to start those conversations as early as possible, to set some expectations with your children about how those first few days of school might go. I think as important as that is listening to your children and giving them an opportunity to ask questions. It's a great way that our kids can let us know where they're at and what's playing on their minds. And then we can respond to those. And again, I think for parents to be as calm and confident and really set the tone for children as they head back to school.
Now, Brian, how important was it for Alberta Blue Cross to get this information out to the public during these new challenges that many parents and students are going to be facing?
Sure, it's extremely important. It's very timely. I myself have 3 elementary age children who are re-entering school this fall, so I know firsthand the level of anxiety and worry and concern that parents have, and we know that our children have that level of anxiety as well. So Alberta Blue Cross is known for our prescription drug, dental, vision care benefits, but we also provide a lot of mental health supports and programs to our plan members. And it's important that individuals realize that their benefit plans can provide a lot of mental health supports to them through this time as well. So certainly as we're looking at the stresses and anxiety of re-entering school during a pandemic, it's important that people are able to access the full gamut of benefits that they have available to them, and particularly the mental health supports that are available.
Was there any continued worry in your mind about sending your kids back to school during this pandemic?
I don't think so. I think we have a pretty high level of confidence in how the government is handling the plan and how the school boards are working with the realities of the situation. So certainly, I think people have a high level of confidence, as I certainly do, that the situation is being handled the best that it can be. But even though that's the way that it's being handled, there's still the reality of sending our kids back to school during a pandemic. So certainly it's a cause for concern.
Now, Emma, what's the one thing that parents may forget to understand when it comes to their kids starting a new school year?
I think it's important for parents to remember that children are resilient and they can cope with hard things as long as they have good support to to make their way through those difficult challenges. And with everything that's difficult comes opportunity. And I think there is lots of teachable moments here for children to ensure they have skills to problem solve. It's an opportunity for them to learn more about being caring and showing empathy. And by assisting them, even reminding them about difficult things they've overcome before. And so hardship's not necessarily all bad, but there is opportunity here. And I think approaching it with a positive mindset is really contagious, just as fear and worry can be contagious. So involve your children, remember that they're resilient, and that equipping them with skills and learning those skills yourself and demonstrating them is a great way that we can support our kids to go into this new challenge.
Aside from kids trying to ease stress about this time of year, what are some tips for parents to do to help them ease some of the stress?
Yeah, I think, prepare, begin now before school goes back in the way that we always do, adjust bedtimes and get used to sort of meals, begin talking about a routine as far as possible, depending on the ages of your children. It can be great if you can involve them in that. It gives kids a good sense of self-control, particularly right now when so many of us are feeling that there's a lot we're not in control of. So for kids to understand they play a part and focus in on what are the things that they can do, like wearing a mask and washing their hands. I think to remind them, focus on growth, remind them how much we've learned and that their parents and their school and the community are really working as hard as we all can to keep them safe. And then I think to check in with children often and listen really carefully to what they're saying. So that we can check in, and ultimately if the kind of good gentle parenting that we usually use isn't effective in supporting your children, then don't be afraid to seek help.
Now, Brian, back to you. Was there a high demand for the information to be released from Alberta Blue Cross's perspective for not only people that are members with you, but also maybe within your organization?
We're doing it more proactively. So certainly through the pandemic, we've seen escalating use of mental health supports benefits. And, knowing that the school year was coming up and knowing personally how many of us have a stake in this, we wanted to be proactive in trying to get as much information out to parents and children, frankly, for that as possible, and make it available right now so that it's timely right at the start of the school year, so people are well prepared and they have the tools and the resources they need to approach the year positively.
And lastly, is there anything that either of you would like to add?
I just want to remind parents that one of the things kids really need is healthy coping parents. And so often we focus in on our children, but our children need us to be well. So it's important for parents to take a moment to think about what their needs are going into this next stage. And that ultimately that's going to be in their children's interests.
I think it's all about managing stress and maintaining a level of comfort with the situation. So there's no right or wrong through this. People have to do what's comfortable for them and what feels right for them and their families, and above all, find ways to manage the stress through the situation.
Well, Brian and Emma, I really appreciate your time, and thank you very much for joining us today.